Hey, this is Justin McCullough with Capital One Spark Business, and this is Small Business Festival. I've got Sophie with us. Why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what your business is?
I work with a nonprofit and a for-profit. The for-profit is Ironthorn Media, and we work with small businesses and nonprofits to create engaging content to help expand whatever they want to be doing, whether it's helping people or it's selling a product. But we mostly are focusing on businesses that would like to have a kind of a halo effect, like a conscious participation in the community.
Great. And you're doing it in what medium?
We're making short form pieces for online content. We also produce television shows, and then we also have a nonprofit, and the nonprofit is primarily for long form documentaries for television, and these are usually about environmental and social justice issues.
That's great. So a couple of things come to mind. One is, I know for a fact there's some folks on the other end thinking like, oh, finally I got somebody who knows TV and video and all this cool stuff, and they're talking about doing all this social content, right? Mm-hmm. So can you tell them a little bit about what that looks like? What can help these small business owners be successful with this kind of content? Like, can we unpack that a little bit?
Really, it's about storytelling, and it's about connecting emotionally with an audience, because that is ultimately people are connecting with a brand, people are connecting with a service, people are connecting with whatever the initiative of that organization from an emotional place. Yeah. And with video, you can really get to know somebody. You can really you can really get to know who they are and where they come from, and that is something that's going to touch us emotionally. It's the oldest form of communication in the world, storytelling. And that's, storytelling was part of the way that people communicated in ancient times to convey information, and now it's still part of us today in this age of technology. We use video to really communicate, and I think that it's a really excellent way to really engage. And people, they begin to trust you. They begin to feel like they know you, and that is going to help them want to do business with you or help them want to participate in your cause or whatever. So we really feel like video is an amazing way to communicate with all kinds of people about all kinds of things.
Sure. So, I think that there's probably several different ways people could approach video. Facebook Live is an example of one. Why don't you walk me through a couple of things that are accessible to our small business owners that a company like you would provide for a small business owner so they can kind of get a glimpse? Are we talking about commercials? Are we talking about documentaries? It sounds like you do so much. So how do we make sense of all the possibilities?
Sure. I mean, it really depends on the goals for the campaign that people are working on, or the interest in the business. For instance, we produce miniseries, or we can produce programs for television.
What's a miniseries?
A miniseries is like typically a series is maybe 13 episodes. A miniseries is maybe 3 or 4. Okay. And so we can produce television programming for them. We can produce online content, so that's usually short form pieces. And a lot of time for a small business, that's like perhaps thought leadership videos. You're really showcasing the expertise, or a business profile video where people are kind of getting to know the business a little bit and what are the nuts and bolts there. And you have product demos and a lot of other little pieces of video, but especially like client testimonials for the business. Like, how did your business really impact the life of someone else? And those personal stories are what future clients will be connecting with, and they'll be identifying with that person who benefited from that service or product, and so we're kind of sharing that experience with potential clients to help expand their clientele.
That's great. So I want to just, you unloaded a lot of great stuff there. So what I heard was we want to create likability and trust, and we want to get them to know, and we're going to use video to do that. We want to do a lot of video, so we could do episodes, we could do multiple episodes online, we could do spotlights, we can do profiles, right? Totally. And we can tell stories in short or long format, get them on the web, get them wherever we need to get them, so that people can actually understand who these people are in a story form, get emotional content, and ultimately get the story out.
Ultimately
right?
Get the story out.
Get the story out.
I mean, depending on what the goal is, if it's get the story out there and get people to care about a cause, or get people to engage with a service or product, it's really like consistent branding, consistent messaging, and helping people engage. They're engaging because we're creating meaning in this age of technology where people are kind of, there's a lot of different information, but meaning is still what we're looking for in our lives. And sometimes products and services can help us cultivate that meaning in this kind of era of individualism.
So I'm hearing a lot of passion, a lot of enthusiasm about video and about small business and how all this comes together. Where's that passion come from?
My personal interest in participating in media that does social good or have an impact on the community comes from early traveling as a young person. As a teenager traveling to the developing world, my whole mind was blown, and what I really wanted to do was bring some of those experiences to people that had never traveled before. And then on the other side, my mother ran a small counseling business from home, and I was always really inspired to be a business owner, entrepreneur. So I've started multiple businesses. I've owned a bar, and I've been a body piercer, and I've done all kinds of things. But really, filmmaking was always what I wanted to be doing. It was just something that seemed so big and so unattainable. But ultimately, just following the dream and being persistent and resilient was the way to go. And it didn't really matter. It's one of those professions where if you don't really want to do it, don't, because it's hard. But when you do, it's so fulfilling. And you get to meet and talk to a lot of different people and get to learn a lot of stories. And it's new stuff every day. And get to learn about different cultures and ideas. And it's a wonderful way to work.
So I'm hearing a lot here. So I got to roll it back. Like, so this isn't your first business. You've done this before, right? So you gave a couple of laundry list of things, actually. Why not? Tell me about the journey. Like, what brought you from one to the next? And do you think that's normal for business owners? I think it's normal. Let me just say, I think it's normal.
Yeah. I think initially, the early businesses that I started were very passion-based. It was all about what I wanted to do. It was that classic story of, I've got a great product, everybody needs it. And then I slowly realized that even if I have a great product and everybody needs it, I mean, are they willing to spend money on it? Is this the right timing for that? Is this the right market for that? So, in each of these, and ultimately, is this what I want to do? I ran an import business, selling people things they didn't need. Those are things they might like, and that's a great, if someone is passionate about their product and they want to sell it, that's wonderful. But ultimately, selling shoes wasn't for me. But, it was fun at the time. Yeah. But I realized that wasn't really where my passion lay. So I was making films on my own and decided I wanted to get more education on that. So I left some of the other businesses behind and
that's great.
Kept going. I mean, initially started as a journalist and then went into all these other things and just came right back because I come from a family of news people.
Okay, all right. So now the truth comes out. You've seen story for a long time, right?
Oh yeah, I grew up listening to the presses and the newspaper business. My dad and my grandpa were newspapermen, so
that's great.
The news is in my blood.
That's right. I think that's amazing. We have experiences in our past that shape our future, right? And one of the things that I'd really like you to offer some of your insight, your perspective. If there's somebody out there right now who's struggling with their first, second, or maybe third business, or maybe it's been moderately successful, but they really feel like they've tried this thing and they need to move on. Maybe they're a little focused on the product, but like you said, not the right market, not the right time. Or maybe you're just a little too much in love with the product and not in love with the customer, right? What would you tell those folks to get moving in the direction of their heart that can allow them to develop that next thing that is a little bit better for them? Because it sounds like you've had experience sort of making your way through to now this place where you're thriving. Yeah. What's it take to thrive like that? What would you share with them?
Giving yourself the space and time to be committed and persistent. If you know where you're going, you don't necessarily have to know what the map looks like, but keep walking in that direction and be persistent with it. And then if you find that maybe you'll have to pivot. But I think not giving up on yourself is one of the biggest and most important things. And really trying to assess what is the most important thing for the business at this time. Yeah. And not being afraid to take risks. I think that's really important.
So with risk comes mistakes and failure, right? How do you do all that without feeling like a failure?
Well, sometimes you do feel like a failure. But then you got to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm a badass and I'm going to get this done. Yeah. And you got to convince yourself that that's what's going to happen today. Yeah. And not every day does it work, but like for instance, grant writing. I'll write 20 grants, maybe I'll get 2. That's 18 failures. Yeah. But you got to learn to love the failures because every time you pursue that goal, you're getting better at getting there. That's
right. And I think as we kind of close out this, you've got a for-profit and a not-for-profit. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Those are like 2 totally different hemispheres, right? Like they don't mesh well.
Well, they're both in media.
Okay.
Both use the same equipment.
Okay.
But they definitely have a different purpose. So, I mean, in some ways, the branded content can move in a really socially expansive way to help, you know, in that kind of halo effect. But it's a different type of financial plan, different type of sales in a way. Because, but either way, in what we do, we're helping people engage and connect with somebody's passion. Whether it's a passion about saving the environment, or it's a passion about, you know, a really excellent new toothbrush that's made of recycled this or that. You know, it's like, it's connecting people with passion and using video, which is a great medium to do so.
That's great. So, you know, what I heard really ultimately is it's a similar vision no matter what. And it doesn't really matter what format the business is in. You're still chasing that. And you know at the heart of it's about storytelling and video. Thanks a ton for sharing that. It's been great talking to you today. This is Justin with the Small Business Festival. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Justin.